Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Feature Creeps. I'm your host, Johnny, and this is your other host, Joao.
Hello.
So this is the show where two distinguished, experienced software engineers talk about software and apps. We analyze them, discuss their tech, our favorite features, that sort of thing. And in the end, we also feature creeps what other things we could be adding. And today, we'll be talking explicitly about Threads, a new Instagram app, a new Meta app, and other microblogging platforms, such as the one formerly known as Twitter, now called X, and Mastodon, Blue Sky, that sort of thing. But first, Raul, how are you doing?
I'm just countryside, São Paulo in Brazil. Looking good here.
Last time we got you from the UK, and if we only had one episode like a month earlier, we'd have gotten you from Japan too, and we'd have hit even more continents.
Exactly. But wait for it. We'll still hit more continents for sure.
Is Threads available in Brazil at the moment?
It is. I can at least use it from here and sign up from here, so it's a good sign. I'm not sure if it's translated, but I read it's translated in many languages now, like over 100 languages. Or at least is the goal to get to 100 languages in Facebook's blog, Meta's blog.
In Spain, where I'm broadcasting from, it's not available yet as it's part of the EU. People within Instagram are saying that it's not about GDPR compliance, but who knows if that's truly the case. When the initial sign-up came about, it was available in Europe. But now, if you manage to create an account, as I could, because I'm UK-based, even though I was then in Greece and now in Barcelona, I can log in, I can see my feed, but I cannot see the threads that I've liked. If I go to profiles, I cannot see what they've posted. So it's just a very current, a very topical app.
Yes, exactly.
First, maybe I should talk a bit more about what is Threads. So it's a microblogging platform, but until Twitter came about, that term didn't really exist. We had blogs, maybe we had vlogs, but we didn't have micro blogs. For whatever reason, someone with Twitter had the vision that people wanted to share what they're doing in a very low friction way, in 140 words or less words, that amount of words, quickly, with immediacy, to report about their current news or to report about what they're having for dinner, or saying that, oh, today I'm in New York or today I'm in Sao Paulo, who wants to catch up, that sort of thing. That proved to be tremendously successful. But Twitter was in a unique position where it was pretty much the key player in that market. You'd see news websites reporting on tweets. You'd see YouTube videos covering controversial tweets or popular tweets. You'd see a whole industry based around specifically tweets, not generally microblogging. But then some things happened within Twitter. It needed a shake-up. Maybe the community was getting a bit toxic. The shake-up did happen with Elon, but it wasn't the shake-up that people really wanted. And there was an opportunity finally for other players to enter the market. One of those players was Threads, made by Instagram. And with the traction of billions of Instagram users getting into that new platform, it's definitely the microblogging flavor of the month. Broke records of signups. It's having a bit of trouble retaining every single person that signed up, maybe because it's not available in the EU, but it's in a good space. I wish I had a that was 1,000th, maybe 1 millionth as popular as Threads. There is a new key player in microblogging, and we're going to be talking about it today. Before we get into our top features for Threads and the other microblogging platforms, would you like to talk about what is feature creeps? Because that's the thing that we're going to be doing later in the video.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to use the Shopify definition again. It says, feature creep is the gradual introduction of additional features to a product or service, often resulting in complex, bloated, and inefficient software. Feature creep, or some people know as scope creep, is when you have planned, you have defined your software, and then someone or a team would come in and think about something else that's outside of the scope, or something that would be really cool to have, and slowly introduce into your scope and into your feature set. It normally comes as a form as a animation or something that looks harmless, but it could take over your project and time and become really, really painful. I also believe that feature creeping can be harmless in a controlled environment if you are allowing your team to brainstorm and be more open and try all the possibilities to future features. And it can be harmless if you're controlling it. And also in our case, it's harmless for us because we are feature creeping other people's products, which is the best position to be.
No matter how many features we add or how hard they are to implement, it's none of our business. We're not going to implement them. We're not adding work to ourselves.
Correct.
I would like to do a practical example about feature creeping. I'd like to try to imagine some feature creeping when Twitter was coming about. I think that the initial vision was, all right, I want to have a quick update of what I'm doing right now. So users should be able to sign in and post their current date. And that could have been just the scope, the whole scope. And then they started thinking about, all right, it should be text. Maybe we should limit it to 140 characters to make sure that they're smaller. But then, as they were implementing all those things, feature creeping came in. And people would be like, well, I would like to post links, but links are sometimes very long. So they shouldn't count against the character. So you should do an edge case for that. And some other person could have said, oh, I want to also post pictures. Does that count the character limit? Should it be a picture limit? Do we do unlimited? But I really want to post pictures and videos. And I would also like to be able to add a hashtag like it happens on other apps and then see other related tweets. And when you've started with, I just want to upload some text, and you thought that you'd be done in a week or a month implementing this, suddenly you've scope creeped your way into many other features that, as you say, can be very productive to add, can be harmless, or can sidetrack you because the vision is, I want to upload text. Can I get this out the door? And now you're stuck trying to make relevancies happen as well.
Yeah, exactly. Those are good examples. And I think if they come as, oh, we should have hashtags and they should not count on the number of characters, it's fine. But sometimes they also come as, this is a must. We must have hashtags. Otherwise, don't release it. And then it's a real problem.
So the limit, I think, was 140 characters, and now it's 280 for Twitter. Yeah. Do you think someone said, you need to be able to see what the limit is in the current character count, or else we cannot see?
I think, yeah, at some stage someone said that. Probably true.
And according to how firm the PM was, it was prioritized or deprioritized.
Yes.
Cool. Let's transition into talking about some of our favorite features. So that's things that have been prioritized and shipped with Threads, which was famously made quite quickly by Facebook and Meta standards. And I don't say that because Facebook and Meta are bad at tech. They're excellent at tech. They're amazing at tech, but they're such a huge company that doing anything needs to go through many hoops. So it's a success story for Threads that with a team of 30 people, mostly engineers, they managed to put this together in just a few months. But of course, if you and I were building something, we'd be able to get it out the door at the same time frame with like a similar amount of features, maybe faster. But that's because we can just do things. We don't need to have all the boilerplate, all the Jira tickets, all the holiday management, all the sharing our stuff with stakeholders. In any case, I'm digressing. What do you think are the top features for Threads or the other microblogging platforms?
I think Threads in particular is pretty clever with the rolling out, right? You get on Instagram saying, oh, look at this new app for microblogging. It's called Threads. You can just sign up. And as you sign up, you instantaneously get your friends, your followers, and then you are migrated into this new social network with the hardest part already solved, which is engagement or getting people on it and then getting people to connect with others. That is a huge advantage that I guess any other company that would try to achieve the same, it would be more difficult, right?
100%. That was my top feature as well. The seamless account creation. You also added the thing where you got the prompt on Instagram that you should create the account. They say that, oh, your username is waiting for you here. Click here to claim it. And it's just seamless, quick. You're in, you're following the people that you follow. It's a dream. It was key for this to be a success. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. And also like the little notifications on people creating Threads accounts, like people you know, and the feeling of not being left out and creating your own was crucial at that stage.
They've started adding some threads. I don't know if they're rolling out that feature to you or if it's like A/B tested or something like that. But I did see in my Instagram feed a few choice threads that were supposed to catch my attention, I guess, and make me go to the Threads app. Devious.
Yeah, it's probably A/B tested. It is a good point. Meta and Instagram really like the A/B test, and they take a really long time. I see people seeing features right now on Instagram with some of my friends that I haven't seen yet.
Classic one that just released, I think, is the reaction on DMs. My American friends could put hearts and likes and any emoji they want on my messages, but I couldn't do anything. Then I could only do hearts. And then I think finally now I can add the different emojis and have different emoji reactions. And it's like, no, this is like US only. Only US people who want to reply with different things. Europeans, they only want heart things. That's fine. Just leave them at that. MVP.
That's right.
So we shared the top feature that we think Threads has. What's your second one?
I'm not a power user on Threads, I have to say. I'm just here and there on it as I get notifications. We already mentioned that as a cool thing that Threads has on Instagram. I think they have a potential, but also I've seen it on the photos on Threads to really do really cool collection of photos and work on images and videos and all of that Instagram already has. And they already have a lot of the best technology and features and UX and proven A/B tests they've done in so many years of Instagram. So they could reuse some of that into Threads. And you can see that from the collections of photos and the carousels they have. It's different than Twitter and it feels different. And you actually get a little bit of Instagram flavor in that. So I would say that would be my second.
That wasn't in my list, but you're absolutely right. The carousels are awesome on Threads, definitely better than how Twitter does it. And for some reason, I think it's even better than Instagram. I don't know why. Maybe because it's slightly unexpected. Maybe you get the text first and then you're like, oh, nice pictures, like dog pictures I can scroll through. Maybe that's what makes it pop even more, even though, as you say, probably sharing a lot of the text there. My number two is common with other microblogging platforms such as Twitter, and that's the Freshness, and that the tweets or threads or whatever you call it, they're about current events very often. It's often the place where you can go, and if you follow the right people, like journalists, you can get reports on what's happening right now, what is happening around the world in fun events like World Cups, or not as fun events or disastrous events like war fronts. And you can get them with immediacy. You can get them immediately. I can know in Greece which of my friends are safe or which are in a flooded area, as it is happening in real time, which I don't know if it's good or not, but it's definitely something that is happening. I think that's a top feature and a top reason that people use Threads in other microblogging platforms, to be in the moment, to know what's happening right now.
Yes. I always think of Twitter as that. And I think I wouldn't go to Threads at the moment, but it's where they want to be perceived as a real-time source of information. And one example I had in my head is, let's say the sky turns green. Suddenly, bright green, lime. You look outside, the sky's green. And then you go and you turn on your TV, maybe. And then business as usual, no one's talking about the sky. And then what do you do next? You go into Twitter, I'd say, or Threads, whatever comes to your mind first. And then you see, why is the sky green? Because you believe, that's my case, and I see it's the case for many others. You believe that's going to be the first place someone will say something about the sky being green.
Yeah. And Threads doesn't yet have that sort of let's follow some news or hashtags type of feature, but Twitter definitely does. And on Twitter, maybe you'd have a local trending keyword like, is the sky green? And then you'd open Twitter and be like, oh yeah, like it is happening. And then you click and then you see all the people talking about this subject. But of course, you'd also see a lot of kind of spammy people that would say, why is everyone asking about the sky being green? Which is noise. I don't want to hear this. I just want to know, is it happening or is it not happening?
At any given point, if you search on Twitter, there will be someone talking about the sky being green as a conspiracy theory or some sort of coming up.
Well, we can go on a huge tangent here. Did you know that originally humans didn't see the color blue? Yeah. So in ancient text, like in Greek text that I had to read in school, very often the sky would be green, because blue didn't exist as a color, and the closest to the sky's color, I guess, was green. But apparently humans, once they know that the color has a name, then they can identify it much better. But until blue was invented, we couldn't do that.
Here we go. And that's our explanation. Why is the sky green today? Because it is actually green.
We have the technology, we know the terminology, and we can accurately say that the color that we want is green. We've seen the IKEA catalogs and we know all the fancy colors that they have. So my third feature, slightly a joke feature, but not really. But it is that there are no ads. So the flow in Threads is amazing. You can go through your whole feed immediately with no problems, because you don't see promoted threads, you don't see promoted ads, nothing unrelated. You may see, if you look at the regular feed, that they have other accounts that you don't really follow, but that's fine. At least they're not ads, and that's huge. On Instagram, you scroll past couple stories, ad. In Twitter, the same. In YouTube, ads are everywhere in the world, and I love that in Threads there are no ads, even though I'm sure that's gonna come to an end at some point.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how long do you think that's gonna last? Having no
I'm an
ads?
optimist. Maybe until X is well and truly dead or has 1/10 the user base of Threads, I think they'll keep it like this to keep that advantage that people are staying there longer. Maybe until then, but who knows? Facebook, like Google and others, are maybe mainly ad targeting company. So who knows? Maybe they'll be tempted to do it earlier.
I think that's a common approach, actually. Those big apps or business, they make people really love it first. Okay, now I love this. And then they will like do something so people slightly hate it.
Twitter itself had this problem. It was a tech favorite unicorn or bicorn or whatever, because its valuation was huge. The problem was that the monetization strategy was unclear. It was just, let's grow and then we'll figure out a way to monetize. But they didn't find a way to monetize well. So they got in trouble in the end.
Well, in the end, for Jack was a good deal, the monetization.
Yeah. As CEO, I know what my monetization strategy is. I get put out. Great. Everyone's a winner and everyone is me.
Yeah.
Do you think that Elon has a chance to make that a good deal still? Can he make money on that deal, or is it already bad money?
Yeah, I think it's a bad money. And I'm not sure about Elon, period. No, but I'm not sure about what the intentions with Twitter at the moment. But yeah, it's interesting approach with Twitter Blue or Twitter Premium, X Premium, I guess, where you can remove half of the ads. You can edit your post and do things like that with a premium subscription X. And that's a different approach to monetization. That's probably in sort of a validation phase. But because everything is so unique about Elon's approach, I'm not sure he's taking all the steps into the validation as you'd expect in a product of this magnitude. So we'll see.
Yeah, and not just the steps. What I've heard elsewhere is that Elon, when he has physical constraints, like in Tesla, then he can be great, because the world, physics, will stop him. The engineers will tell him, we cannot do this because you cannot make batteries smaller, or the heat needs to go somewhere, so we cannot do what you want. But when it's only tech, like something like Twitter essentially is, or any microblogging platform, then there are no constraints. Like you can solve anything given infinite time. So why not do anything that Elon is thinking? If you know you're right, why do you need the data to prove you're correct?
Depends on, your confidence level is so high that who needs validation? And it's a good point on the constraints. And actually, that links to one of my favorite features of Twitter and why Twitter exists, or threads exists, or something like microblogging exists. And one of the things that made Twitter what it is, I think, is the limit of characters, and is the constraint of characters. And the constraints in general, it's something that usually will make people more creative if you have more constraints, and people work around it and do interesting things to express themselves in 280 characters, and before it was 140 even. So you would see people really summarizing and synthesizing their thoughts into like smaller chunks and trying to create clever screenshots or images that would be more useful in a short communication form.
100%. They do say constraints inspire creativity. And that goes for engineering as well. If they tell you build an app and you have full creative control, I think you'd never be done. I don't know about you, because you're very successful with building apps that actually make it to production and go viral. But I can speak about myself and maybe most engineers that I know, that when you can do anything, then you can do nothing, because you need some constraints. Given infinite time, you can achieve everything. But when you have constraints, you can get some practicality out of it. You can say, all right, I can do this, I cannot do that. If you can potentially write a 1 million word novel about the history of JavaScript or whatever, then you're never going to finish. But if you have to say something witty about JavaScript in 140 characters, you can definitely do that. That's easy.
Yes. And It's the same as a parenthesis now for engineers when you're writing tests. And I felt that many times. If I remove my internet connection and try to write tests, I will write better tests, because the whole having resources of, not like to research or anything like that. I think you always need that, but having resources that, I have the cloud available for me. Maybe I'll use the production database or staging database for that, other than doing everything in your limited constraint of being offline in your unit tests. Your tests will be better. And that's my new theory that I'm trying to implement here.
The theory has legs, for sure. Any other features that you like, not necessarily about threads, but the other microblogging apps, Twitter or X, of course, being the most famous one?
Yeah, it's a good time to mention Mastodon, because I really like their...
So I have this Mastodon.social server, which is the easiest way to use Mastodon, because it has this thing where someone needs to be running a server and you need to join a specific server. And I'm an engineering nerd, so I kind of know how it works, and I can manage to spin up my server or join another person's server. But the average user, the average Instagram user, I'd say 99% of Instagram users are not going to bother with it. So there is this Mastodon.social website that has pretty much the public server that you can join.
I really like the ground rules they set up in the beginning. No harassment, do not share false information, and the whole thing about being open and using the ActivityPub online is quite cool as well. What are your initial insights and thoughts on Mastodon?
So the reason we both had seamless account creation as number one feature, I think it's the reason that Mastodon isn't going to do that well. I think it's going to do well enough with a specific sort of crowd, but you can't be the type of successful app that gets mentioned in the news like Twitter was, or Threads maybe, as Mastodon. Threads has this potential because it has the traction, it has a critical mass of users. Mastodon cannot have it, even if it has nice terms of use, even if you can spin up your own server and have your own rules and then create your own community where you're saying, I only want to see sunshine and rainbows or whatever you may like. It's nice, it's excellent in theory, but in practice, I don't think it's going to get enough traction to be the hub where that's where I go to see real-time events. But maybe that's where ActivityPub comes into play. So if you'd look to talk a bit more about that, maybe interesting.
Yeah, I think there is some hype on it, given that Mastodon used it, and Mastodon was like the first sort of alternative for people that, I don't want to be part of this new X. I want something else. And Mastodon was kind of there for people. But as you said, those limitations are really good points. And that's why maybe Meta thought we could build something really fast and get something out to serve as an alternative for that as well. And Meta put on their release notes that they are including ActivityPub into Threads. And that's huge.
They plan on implementing or integrating with the protocol. Would you like to say what exactly is?
Yes.
Or thereabouts your understanding of it, at least?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the deep intricacies of ActivityPub, but it's a protocol. Like email is a protocol, and then anyone can implement and based on these rules, and then they could communicate using this with other apps. Let's say, I guess the best comparison is in email, where you don't want a Gmail account. You don't want to just talk to your Gmail friends. You want to send an email that will reach your Hotmail friends. But, there's no point of having Hotmail friends anyway. But let's say you have one. But then you reach your Hotmail friends, and you reach your Outlook, you reach any other email account, because those are all based on protocols and anyone can receive and send messages. And that's the idea of ActivityPub as a social network. Let's say you post something on Threads and someone can comment on another, like Instagram or any other social network that's not necessarily owned by Meta, if you can find them, or like TikTok or something, and then you can comment on that, and then your comment will be seen elsewhere, and then your profile will be linked, and it's the interoperability of your account is the interesting part here with this public protocol that can be used.
So essentially, as far as I understand it, you choose the tool with which you want to consume the ActivityPub. And then you say, all right, with this tool, I'm going to follow Joao, I'm going to follow Johnny, I'm going to follow somewhere else. And those people that you follow, so long as they publish somewhere that does follow the ActivityPub protocol, can be anywhere. So if Threads were to implement the protocol, they could be on Threads. If that person is only on Mastodon, you can still see them because it goes into the ActivityPub.
Exactly.
So you have the freedom of choice of tool to consume and also how to post your own content.
Yes. And that's different than when you post on Instagram and you can share on Twitter. Those are more like bespoke integrations.
I think this is quite important, maybe critical going forward with the microblogging platforms, because Twitter caught lightning in a bottle. It was its own thing, its own category. But now with the recent events, it seems like there is room for more apps, but some people may like Threads. Some people don't want to do anything with Meta or Facebook or whatever else. So maybe they'll never use it out of principle, but they would love to use Mastodon or Blue Sky or something else. And if you do implement ActivityPub, then you can hit all of those people in theory. You'll never have this is the app to do tweets that Twitter had, but I don't think that's ever going to be done again.
Yeah, but it's ambitious. It's very ambitious to reach something like that where all the social networks work, because it creates a constraint to all the social networks to implement and follow, which, as we said, could increase the creativity and people could create more things about it. But I think those companies, they are more focused on revenue. And I'm not sure how much revenue ActivityPub will unlock for a single business, but it's definitely something to explore. If you're starting a business right now and thinking social networks, this is definitely something to look at.
I think the selling point would be like someone will try to pitch that if you do implement it, then your user base is everyone that's already in something that implements the ActivityPub. So your user base is 1 billion users already because they're using this other thing that has been around for a while. So we can hit them. We can deploy our product to them. We can reach them. I think that's the way to sell it. You increase your reach if you implement this protocol.
Yeah. But then if you already have 1 billion users, then what's the benefit?
Yeah, of course. Twitter has no incentive to implement this because it will just allow people to leave Twitter and consume the few people they like somewhere else. We started going into thinking territory. So would you like to start doing some feature creeping?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Let's think about Threads or Twitter or whichever you prefer. Maybe Twitter would be a better play because Threads is missing quite a lot of features they try to release with the critical stuff quite quickly. But I'll give the floor to you and you let me know what you're going to create next and take the Threads or microblogging world by storm.
Yeah. And thank you, Johnny. But this time, I think I haven't really prepared or thought much about feature creeping Twitter, but I think we can do it. Thinking about the algorithm era of TikTok and things, you can see there's already a difference between the way that Twitter delivers the feed and the way that Threads delivers the feed.
Do you remember a time where your feed, where your timeline was actually a timeline like, these are the people you follow, chronological order, this is what they posted, and that's it? That seems like a bygone era from ages ago. I can't believe that was the case. Now, of course, they prioritize with the algorithm what you're going to see because they think you're going to engage with this more or someone else is promoting something. So it's quite convoluted.
Yeah. And it's a model that's been working quite well for TikTok and other social networks. So people, the era it came and then TikTok implemented and then everything else became a TikTok because it was so successful that everyone implemented a TikTok on their own, like Meta and all the social networks. So my first feature creep would be on disappearing tweets or disappearing threads. The Snapchat sort of idea of getting people more often back into the social network. Snapchat maybe was the first one that came up with that idea of doing something that's super temporary and people just have to be there in the social network to see in this 24 hours window. So maybe something like that for tweets would be interesting.
Right. Ephemeral tweets. Snapchat was the first for these, but I think Instagram stories really nailed the idea because you could see your feed and the people that in the past 24 hours have posted something. And if you didn't use the app for 24 hours, that's content that you didn't see. If you've gotten into the habit of consuming content without really thinking about it, then you feel bad. So you are in the app all the time, keeping your scrolling habits by going through every story and missing nothing. So there's something there with disappearing tweets. I like that.
What's your first creep, Jenny?
For me, it would be, you mentioned that Mastodon has servers that have some policies that say, oh, you cannot post fake news and that sort of thing. So now I'm realizing that maybe Mastodon is doing that sort of thing, that you can have your own server and say, these are my goals. Because what I was thinking is that maybe you could add in Twitter or Threads or whichever algorithm, some sentiment analysis in order to promote feel-good tweets. Usually, in those sorts of environments, and what you see in the news is things that make people angry, that cause controversy, that are quite sad, dramatic. And that happens in Twitter as well. You see people that are trying to bait other people. They'll say, JavaScript is best or TypeScript is best. But they won't say it even like that. They'll say TypeScript sucks or JavaScript sucks. And if you think this, then you're an idiot. And they'll try to bait you into engaging and spending more time in their account and all of that. So I'd love if the algorithm actually prioritized the feel-good tweets that are like, oh, here's some puppies. I had a great day. I had some ice cream. I was on the beach. I surfed and caught like 25 waves today. That sort of thing. So do some sentiment analysis on a tweet and never tell people that their pessimism is being downranked. But in reality, promote the people that are more optimistic, that are more smiley, that are more fun. I think that would make for a better place, even though you can see a Black Mirror episode like the nosedive one that can be eerily applicable to this.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think that hits our AI bingo slot. And I think I like I think even, think of Mastodon and running your own server. You could even go into Twitter, feature creeping in your idea. You go into Twitter and then you say, today I'm in this mood for this sort of vibe. So just deliver for me tweets on this vibe.
Nice. Yeah. Today I want to pick me up. Today I want to get like really riled up, like hit me with something good and, make me feel something.
Yeah, it's like today I'm hardcore, just hit me with some like flat earth stuff, whatever. Give it. I can handle.
Today I choose violence. Today I'm going to reply to trolls on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Today just show me just Elon's playground and then just like Elon Musk's playground, which is basically the entire Twitter nowadays.
Yeah, maybe we should interject to have people understand the algorithm a bit more with this list from Wikipedia of the most viral or successful tweets that have ever happened. We could have a look at the type of content that usually gets prioritized from the algorithm. First, we do have a very tragic one. We have about Chadwick Boseman's death, who was always a great actor, but especially popular after he nailed it with the Black Panther film, one of the most critically acclaimed Marvel films ever. But then you have Elon Musk saying, next I'm buying Coca-Cola to put the cocaine back in. So that's, the person who just bought Twitter.
Yeah, the goal is the metaphor, right? Where he wants to make Twitter great again. But is he really putting the cocaine back into Twitter? Not sure.
Not in a good way. But yeah, the date was April 27, so not April 1st, close to the acquisition. And then, of course, you have Barack Obama. No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. I love YouTube videos like that where they have like childhood friends that they ask them, describe your older friend, and no one will say, oh, he's black or he's whatever else. They don't know those things. Kids, if you let them be, they're just judging you as a person. Like, are you fun to play soccer with or football or whatever you prefer? And that's awesome. Other famous ones. All of these are from kind of famous people. I see that there is a tweet by X when they named X, which of course was an account by somebody that got no money, I believe, from this. Maybe they gave them like a free Twitter premium for hijacking this one-letter account.
But X.com was actually Elon's domain when he was at PayPal. I don't know the story fully, but he bought it back from PayPal, the X.com domain for Twitter, probably something over millions.
Yes, but he did not have the Twitter account with X. That was another person. But clearly X was in his mind. Of course, he has a Tesla Model X, even though really what he wants to do is like an SEX. So there, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with, but it's one of the classic ones.
Yeah, of course. The sexy joke.
Yeah. It doesn't quite work when my screen is slightly smaller. You get here. Yeah, there you go. It's like, that's the vision. I want to be able to say sexy on my website. Fair enough.
Lovely.
So that's some of the tweets. It wasn't as bad as I thought, actually, but I would love for more of them to be a bit happier. You have the one talking about the astronauts who left Earth today, so you made a good choice. And it's like, that's very pessimistic.
But that one's perfectly timed because it was when the pandemic started. And that comedian posted that, and as a reply to a rocket launch. So I guess, yeah, it has its value for comedy, but it was sad times.
Do you have any more feature creeps?
Maybe something we can evolve on together. I thought of something like a back page of your Twitter account where you only post your personal thoughts that you may want to share with a limited amount of people. And then immediately I thought back then when we used to work together, Johnny, and we had the board, the physical board.
The Kanban board.
Yeah, like a Kanban board. And then we had the tasks, and then we had a sort of like a column for ideas, and we had Johnny's ideas box, do you remember what
Which
it
was
was?
the trash bin.
So,
Of course, it was the trash bin.
well, it's obviously a joke from our PM back then, but yeah, something like that for the Twitter. Most people are embarrassed of like sharing thoughts and ideas, and maybe having a more personal touch to it would help. But I don't really know. I don't really have a vision for it, but maybe you can help me.
I was going to make that a reference when I was mentioning prioritizing features and PMs as well, because Thomas, our PM or product owner at the time, I would often come in with ideas because I do think ideas are harmless. You just say them, and then if they're good, they get implemented. If not, then Thomas prioritizes them straight to the trash bin. But in regards to your thing, Twitter is actually monetizing like that because you can subscribe and see private tweets for a person. But then you'd expect that those tweets are the most premium ones, like the best content is gated behind the paywall. So kind of the opposite of what you're saying, where you're like, oh, I'm going to be like more freestyle. Not necessarily my best ideas are going to be here, but some ideas are there. But I don't know, I guess there is no requirement of the quality or the type of your tweet that can be protected behind that paywall. You can say that this is a more intimate access to my brain. So if I'm selling this product, intimate access to my brain. I'm thinking this, I'm going to be posting it here only for people that have subscribed. If I want to feature creep this, is there a way for something that I think to be translated into a tweet without me actually having to go into Twitter and log in and type in the tweet? And it just happens, like mind reading posting, that sort of thing. I don't know how it could be done.
That's interesting. Maybe not mind reading, but you could just have like a dump, like this page to be a dump of your thoughts, like unstructured and unfiltered thoughts. Something that would never be posted, but then you could have some sort of AI layer that just filters out for you and builds a tweet from your back page.
Yeah, if I used Siri more, so if Siri was a bit more useful, and I could say, hey Siri, I'm going for a walk in the park, so turn off the lights or whatever else, then Siri would have the context to be able to say, Johnny is going to this park, or Johnny left a memo regarding this idea, and maybe they'd be able to create that content for me. But then that's the problem of if you are supervised all the time, like if everything you do is recorded, then you can create a lot of content out of it in an artificial way. But do you want to be like recorded all the time? Maybe not. That's the compromise.
Yeah, maybe not. And I think the deeper thoughts, they are hardly recorded. And I think it will be more like a tool for that. But I think we really get into like a Black Mirror episode as we start talking about it and just cloning our minds into a Twitter account and living forever as a Twitter account.
Oh, yeah, that's it. You train an AI model to think like you, so it will tweet like you. Firesip did a video on that where they did train an AI to post every day, picking from a list of topics. Create a tweet about JavaScript and make sure to mention, crypto or something like that. We are in that future. Although, in that particular episode, there was a benefit to being positive. So if people rated the interactions highly, then you had a better credit score. You could get better loans. You could buy better cars. While on Twitter, it's the opposite. Of course, you get rated highly if people like and retweet and engage with what you're doing. But liking in Twitter doesn't mean that you said something nice. It means you made a sarcastic comment that was quite popular. So that's the dichotomy, I guess, that I'd like to eliminate, but I don't know how. The incentive in Twitter is to generate engagement, while in the Black Mirror episode, kind of be a good person overall. So, of course, the discussion is, if you're only doing it to get a better car,
yeah,
is it bad? Is it good? I don't know. But I'd say if you could only be positive on Twitter and to get a bigger following or a better job as a journalist, then the world would be a better place. So let's do it. Promote the positive tweets.
Yeah, I think It's a fine line between those apps. They always try to promote a better version of you, sort of, that might not necessarily be true, but it could be true and it could be a better version of you. Social network can be good, it could be bad, but it could be even worse without them, and for some of those reasons. Or they try to promote a real version of you, like BeReal, or maybe even Twitter, where people just dump their thoughts.
So you mentioned BeReal now, and maybe that's the thing to take your idea to the level that you wanted. You get the prompt by Twitter, say something now. You have to write something, or else you have like 30 seconds to write something. And that would force you to capture unfiltered thoughts, because you're like, I have to do it now, no matter where I am. I can't think about it for too long. So it has to be unfiltered. And then people pay for that sort of unfiltered content.
Yeah, I like it. Just be real everything. And then we circle back into real life. No need for anything else.
Actually Real. I subscribe to Actually Real. I don't have any apps. I don't have a phone. I gave away everything, and now I'm living as a fisherman in my island.
Yeah, that's it.
You mentioned AI as well. So that's Bing for the bingo. And it's going to be Bing because I'm going to mention it again. So what about an AI avatar that would be making reels or stories or whatever else for your posts? So if it's thread specific, then you create an AI avatar through the app, which TikTok today promoted to me. It's like send 10 pictures and then you have this sort of mid-journey monstrosity. I don't know what it's going to be, that actually animates and can be trained with your voice and all of that. So just do this. Every thread that you've ever posted, every tweet now has a version of you that is speaking it out loud. People love seeing faces. Tweets and posts and anything with faces performs better. So now, for free, with no extra friction, then you get a version of you that is talking about the thing you just wrote about.
Yeah, I think that follows a trend, right? There's a trend on generating videos, and it could even be yourself and your voice and all that. It could be even like a character that looks like you. But I'm a bit skeptical about this future that looks more like generated content, generated videos.
Say more.
It's just that I think we always circle back to the real person, and that would be more valuable. Perhaps it's just a door into, okay, everything can be fake and it can be generated, and then will be way more valuable when you see the real person, and that will cost more money, which is the natural progress of technologies. I think using it as a replacement for a person, I'm not completely sure, but using it as a enhancement, as you said, as your idea is more aligned, as an enhancement, as something that's mechanical, like a tweet, and then you enhance with AI. I think that works.
Yeah, there is also some implications about enabling people to have video content. So there are people that cannot speak or can only type and have some disabilities, and that would allow them to be on screen and speak. Is that good or not? That enabling people to do more things and giving them the option to do something they feel good about it, I think it's always good. But I'm trying to think, if Stephen Hawking had the option to, instead of having the robot voice, that he had to have an avatar of himself that is standing and talking and, preaching, he was charismatic as he were, but he'd be even more charismatic. But maybe he'd be sad. Maybe he wouldn't want to see this because that's a future that never happened. That's something that's not really real. But give the choice to the people and then they choose whether they use it or not. Now, would the consumers be like tricked, or would they understand, or should only some people use it? I don't know. That's definitely tricky territory to navigate.
Sure. I think this episode turned more philosophical than I expected, but nice.
Yeah, it's because we opened the Elon bottle and the Black Mirror bottle. So the genie is out of it for sure. Do you have any more feature creeps?
Well, I think that's it for me.
Of the ideas we had, which one do you think would win if the board was going to hear all of them? If the Threads board or the Twitter board, if Elon was going to hear all of them, which one would take the prioritization? Which one would take the resource to be delivered?
I think nowadays would be your AI generation video idea would get funding, because that's a bet. That's a bet in any software right now. But if the bet pays off, it's a good pay.
Yeah, I think that has a high chance. And Instagram itself has tried this in different ways a few times. They've had you create your avatar so you can do like the heart sign as your AI version instead of just doing the heart emoji or whatever else. And I don't think it has shown success. But maybe now with the actually speaking avatar, maybe it would get traction. I think people would be willing to try. It may be a huge play for a huge market. So I win. Great. Better
We
luck
agree.
next episode. You'll get the resource one day, Joao.
Yeah. If you're listening to this, we can build it.
So more AI. Do you want to move on to the community question? We are now on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and wherever you find your podcasts, but no one has sent a question yet. We're growing our audience. Of course, questions are welcome. Remember to like and subscribe on YouTube and all of that. We'll read the comments, we'll read your questions and answer. But until then, I've asked ChatGPT to ask us a few questions. I gave a bit of context about who we are and what the show is about. So let's see. ChatGPT asks, "Hey, Johnny and Joao. Big fan of Feature Creeps here. Love the way you guys dig deep into software features. It's insightful and entertaining, and I look forward to it every week. Cheers." So question 1. You guys often talk about feature creeps for social media apps. I wonder if you were in charge of the Spotify app for a day, what creep would you add to it to revolutionize the way we listen to music? Which I think is extra interesting because I did not tell ChatGPT that you have actually worked for Spotify.
Wow, that is creepy.
Would you like to
Creepy.
take this question or should I move on and just leave it in the air?
I think, yeah, let's leave it in the air because I think we'll do an full episode on feature creeping music apps in the future.
One we won't hit, Google Calendar. So, Johnny, you're known for your positive vibe and Joao for your knack for viral apps. How would each of you approach adding a feel-good viral feature to an everyday app like Google Calendar? So, a feel-good feature, viral feature for Google Calendar. I think that's a great question.
Right. You take this one, Johnny.
Sure. So Google Calendar, you know it as the thing that you dread when you go to the office. You see all the appointments that you have and all the meeting blocks and all of those things. People try to schedule stuff with you. You try to reach out to other people and you cannot really find the time. There are some functionalities to find the perfect time for everyone, but the times are overlapping. So I don't think anyone has too much fun using Google Calendar, which makes it the perfect candidate for that sort of thing. So how would I improve it? I think the easy way out is to add a little game like the dinosaur that jumps off rocks. And it's Google as well, so they'd be able to reuse that one. So a little retro game as you're waiting for a meeting or when you have empty time, like play a game with me, play a game with Google Calendar. If you're there and you have time to kill till your next meeting, then play a little game like the dinosaur game. That's what I do. Retro game you can only get if you're like 5 minutes early to the meeting, and then you do that, and then you go to the meeting all happy because you beat your high score. That's it.
I like it. I like
Awesome.
it.
Would you like to give it a try?
Yeah. Promoting my own app right now, which is called saymyname.io. So a feature creep would be, you know how when you're about to meet someone and you see their names on the calendar and it's something that you don't recognize as something you pronounced before? So what if there was a feature where you can listen to the name pronunciation and even practice and get a score on how well we said it? So it would be great for diversity inclusion and it would be good for you to not embarrass yourself in an important meeting or an interview.
Awesome. The moment you mentioned your app, the moment you mentioned Say My Name, I was like, of course, amazing. See the invitee list, see the people that you're going to meet with. Tell me how I'm going to pronounce their names. That's amazing. Awesome. You win this round for sure.
It's something we are actually working on. So stay in touch. We'll talk more about it in future.
Interesting.
Episodes. Yeah.
I love it. I'm not going to ask about it more, even though I have like 3 questions that immediately popped to my head. We'll be diving into this further in the future. That's about it for now. Would you like to hunt for product hunt topics, or should we call it an episode?
I think we can leave it to next episode. We can do some hunting and a bonus.
For sure. We can have multiple segments. Let us know what you like about the episodes, and we'll do more of that. We'll definitely be talking about a new app, which you can suggest. Maybe we can talk about your app as well. But what exactly we'll be doing after covering that app could be up to you. We have some ideas, but we'll keep iterating through them and validate them because we have vision, but we want to listen to data. We want to listen to people saying, oh, we love this part.
Absolutely. We are very open to feedback and to hear the community's thoughts and your own feature creeps on the apps that we've been talking about. Would be great.
So besides this website, would you like to tell people how can they find you?
Yes, best way would be jvmartins.com. You get email, you get GitHub, you get link, and you can find out more about my projects, my inventions, and a bit more what I've been creating around the internet for over 15 years. How about you,
Nice.
Jenny?
So I do have a website, but this time I'd like to promote johnnyfine.com with some live streaming my work on the past couple of weeks. I think we're 3 episodes in or 4. And this is going to be a subscription service page, Patreon clone, let's say. So you can have a profile, you can sign in. We've shown all of these things online. If you want to be an engineer, I think that's a fun project to look into. But also, it links to my channel, which I just did a video on text gradients with vanilla CSS. I love doing lightweight CSS tricks videos, which can help your site stand out. But that's about it for promos. That's about it for us. I think this is going to be it for the episode. Any last words for today, Joao?
That's beautiful. Last words is I really like your channel and your videos are really funny and engaging. And actually, I can learn a lot from it.
Thank you. Like, the funny part is because I'm funny looking, but everything else is talent and pure skill.
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you very much. Thanks everyone for listening or watching.
We'll catch you later. Bye.